Okay, so let's start with this digestive system. So, before starting this, let's learn about the five steps that are involved in or that are included in human nutrition. The very first thing is ingestion, second is digestion, third one is what could be third one? There. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn on the mic. Okay, so there are five steps that are involved in digestion. First one is ingestion, in which we take in food or any human take in food. Then digestion. Digestion is the breakdown of food. Now digestion is of two types. One is physical and other one is chemical. So how could you differentiate between physical digestion and the chemical digestion? Okay, it doesn't involve any enzyme, or we can say in a chemical change a new substance is formed, and in a physical digestion there is no formation of no new compounds. Okay, the thing would be same, but only the size got reduced. What do you think, what is the purpose of physical digestion? Okay, more quickly, how can we like explain it in according to our biology? Smaller pieces means there would be, exactly, there would be larger surface area. If there is larger surface area, then the enzyme can act more conveniently on that area, and the digestion or the chemical digestion takes place more quickly as compared to the one in which the food is not broken down into small pieces. Okay, then after digestion, we have another step which is assimilation. Now, what is assimilation? Whatever is broken down is going to be become part of. Sorry, before assimilation, we have absorption. This one is fourth one. Third one is absorption. After the food got digested, the nutrients become part of our body, like they are like absorbed by the blood and taken to the different parts of the body. Then assimilation is mainly done by the liver, in which the bigger or the smaller substances are again combined to form the bigger substance. For example, amino acids. First of all, we take in protein, and that protein is broken down into amino acid, and then it is absorbed by our blood. When it is absorbed by our blood, it is taken to the liver again, and here now the amino acids are assimilated. They are put into a certain order to make something. Okay. Then last one is the removal of undigested food, which is egestion. Okay, when we talk about the chemical digestion, as you have told earlier, that it takes place with the help of enzymes, right? So, which let's talk about this. Which organs contain enzymes? Mouth, does it contain enzyme? So the name is amylase. What about esophagus? No. What about stomach? What's the enzyme? Protease. Protease. Okay. The liver. So it contains bile basically, which emulsify the fat, which break down the fat into smaller pieces. What about pancreas? Yes. What are the names? Amylase, lipase, protease or trypsin. What about small intestine? No. So small intestine is not producing any enzyme. Rather, the pancreas are going to empty its pancreatic juice into the small intestine through a pancreatic duct. Okay, what about large intestine? No. Okay, so this is about enzymes, that these parts are producing enzymes. Okay, let's talk about the physical digestion. What do you think? In which part there would be a prominent physical digestion? Let's talk about the first is mouth with the help of teeth. So, okay, teeth, mouth. Second, where could be the second physical digestion? Stomach. Okay, stomach. And how? There would be like contraction and relaxation of stomach. So it is called as churning. You need to learn this name. Okay, then where else? So we have discussed something about liver, that it produces bile. So again, liver and that bile, basically it emulsify. Let's write emulsify. Emulsify. What is the meaning of emulsify? Bigger fat molecules into smaller droplets. The purpose is same as we have discussed, that to increase the surface area so that enzymes can act on them more efficiently, or the digestion would be more efficient. Okay, so we have discussed this chemical digestion, we have discussed the physical digestion in detail. Let's talk about like each part. First of all, let's talk about the ingestion. How do we take in food? So when we put the food into our mouth, the teeth are going to act on them. They break them into a smaller pieces. Then saliva is going to mix up that with that food, and in saliva, the amylase is going to start the digestion of starch. Okay. So there is one more question, which you or one more concept which you need to know. There is digestion of certain molecules in certain parts. So we say digestion of starch starts in mouth, though it continues, but it starts in mouth. Digestion of protein starts in stomach, not in mouth. So if we are taking in protein food, it's not going to be digested in our mouth. It has to go down the stomach to get digested. Okay, what about fats? They're not going to be digested in mouth, they're not going to be digested in the stomach, but in small intestine, where the pancreatic juice is releasing, or it is released, which contains lipase, and then it acts on the uh, fats molecules or the lipids. Done. This is another important point with respect to your multiple choice questions. Okay, now when the food is broken down into smaller pieces, the saliva is going to make it into a ball like structure. That ball like structure is known as bolus. Okay, now a tongue is going to roll that food towards the back of our mouths, or towards the back of our palate, and then it is going to be ingested. So we have discussed this earlier as well, that there are two main pipes. One is the food pipe and another is the windpipe, and there is a flap in between them, and this larynx is going to get close when. So what is the purpose of closing the trachea? Exactly, otherwise it would cause choking. Correct. So the food needs to be ingested properly. Okay, is my screen visible to you? Okay, so the next one is, let's talk about the, like, now the food has to go down the esophagus. Now saliva is still a part of our bolus, it moves down. Now in esophagus, though there is no enzyme, There is no chemical digestion by esophagus, but as saliva is moving down, the saliva is still breaking down, or amylase is still breaking down starch into maltose. Digestion continues, but not by esophagus. There is no role of esophagus. So, how do esophagus is how does this esophagus is going to move the food from our mouth to our stomach? So there is rhythmic contraction and relaxation, and this rhythmic contraction and relaxation is known as peristalsis. This is another important term. Now, our whole alimentary canal, which starts from our mouth and it ends till the rectum, there would be peristalsis, the movement of food, whether we are eating or whether it's undigested. It moves towards the next part through peristalsis. And what is peristalsis? It is only rhythmic contraction and relaxation. So it moves the food down. Definitely stomach is not going to the movement of stomach is called as churning, not the peristalsis, but small intestine does and large intestine does. Okay. Okay, so let's say it moves into the stomach. Now stomach has three parts, or it has three components. What are those components? HCl, pepsin, and mucus. What is the function of HCl? It's an acid, so it lowers the pH for protease. So it lowers the pH till 2 so that protease can act on it. Protease needs acidic environment. Oh, that I forgot to mention. What is the pH in our mouth? 7, neutral pH. So our saliva is neutral. Okay. So what is the role of pepsin? It actually produces protease or activates protease. What is the function of mucus? There was once a question in the past papers. What is the function of mucus in our stomach? So it covers the inner surface or the lining of of the stomach to prevent or to lowers the effect of HCl. Being an acid, it can be corrosive for the stomach. So your stomach needs an internal preventive or the layer which can protect it from the HCl, and that is mucus. Mucus is released by goblet cells. There is one case which is known as ulcer, stomach ulcer. What is stomach ulcer? So when you it's not mucus is not released, there is like you take in more spicy food, you take in more acidic food, that lowers the pH even more. Okay, and when the pH is lowered even below 2, it is going to affect your stomach. Okay, the lining will be damaged and it will result in ulcer. So what happened in ulcer? Exactly, and you even cannot eat anything then. No spices allowed then. So better to eat spices in moderate amount. Okay, what else is the function of HCl? It lowers the pH to 2. What else is the function? There is one more function which is really important for the food we are taking in. Good, kills the bacteria. Again, the reason is pH. Exactly. So it decomposes the bacterial structure. Okay. Now we have talked about mouth, in which the pH is 7. We'll talk about food in stomach, where the pH is 2. Now the food is again broken down into a liquid called as chyme. The food after digestion in the mouth is called bolus. The food after digestion in stomach is called as chyme. We need to learn these terms. We need to memorize these terms. Okay? Okay. Now this chyme moves to the small intestine. Okay? But before discussing small intestine, I want to mention very important structures which we missed. That is sphincter. What is sphincter? When a food moves from one part to the another part, there is a mass of muscles that get closed. Okay, so for example, sorry, so there is no backward movement. So sphincters are present before the stomach, like between the esophagus and the stomach, between the stomach and the small intestine. Okay, so if in any case our sphincter is get open between mouth and the between esophagus and the stomach, that will result in reverse peristalsis. Sometimes you feel the undigested food moves into like your esophagus and mouth. You feel that burn when you eat a lot of spicy food. So it happens. And when someone eats a lot of food, that person may vomit. Why? Because if there is a lot of food in that stomach that has failed to close and it tries to get out, because there is rhythmic contraction and relaxation, it moves the food out. Okay. This sphincter is also present. Let's move to the diagram. This sphincter is also present here, 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 and here. Yes. It needs to move through like the rhythmic contraction and relaxation through peristalsis. Okay, next one. Where were we? Where were we? What was the last topic we were discussing? Okay, sphincters. Okay. Now the food moves into the small intestine. Small intestine is connected to the two accessory organs. What are those? Liver and the pancreas. Though they are not part of alimentary canal, but they are playing very important role in our digestion. Liver, it produces bile. What is bile? It's okay. Okay, it contains a salt that lowers that increases the pH. Now the pH of intestine is around 8. Okay. When food moves from stomach to intestine, the enzyme protease, which is acting over here on proteins, is no longer is going to be active. It deactivates because the pH changes, and that pH is actually changed by this bile salt. Okay. There is sodium hydrogen carbonate over here, which increases the pH. Sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay. And this whole process in which the bile is breaking the bigger fat molecules into the smaller droplets is known as emulsification. Okay. Now, what is released by pancreas? Okay, trypsin. What else? Lipase, we have discussed here. Here. Lipase, amylase, and trypsin. What is the function of amylase? Okay, pancreatic juice. Break down starch into maltose. What others? Lipase. Lipase break fats into fatty acids and glycerol. And what does protease or trypsin do? Proteins into amino acids. Okay. Now the food is digested. So this happens in the very first part known as duodenum. Okay. So there are three major parts of the small intestine. We have to discuss only two: the duodenum, first part, and the last part, which is ileum, which is the longest part. So in the ileum, there would be absorption. Okay. So we have discussed two things. One is the ingestion, and the second is digestion. Now we are going to talk about the absorption, assimilation, and the egestion.